Good morning, chat. My name is Penbu, the programming, puzzle gaming, and music making VTuber on Linux, and today we are teaching Phi how to compose. Hello, welcome in everyone. Phi, hello. Actually, I don't think they can. Let me make sure that's once more, please.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Okay. Chat, let me know if you can hear him. I think you should be able to hear him now. Uh,
Okay, yeah, I do see myself light up.
yes. All right. Well, why don't we start with introductions? Who are you?
Yeah, so hello, everybody. My name is Phi the Neutrophil. You can find me over at YouTube. I am a cell and molecular biology content creator who makes traditional long form videos diving deep into the stories of the germ wars. But I'm also a VTuber and also someone who has always greatly admired people who do and make music, which is why I've asked Penbu to teach me these arcane secrets.
Yeah, very soon you will become one of those people too. But yeah, I highly
Looking forward
recommend
to it.
Phi's content. If you're ever interested in science stuff, even if it's not specifically biology, he teaches very well, and his streams are very interesting to listen to, even if you might not be familiar with the material. Because you like to make your content accessible, right? To even people who don't
Yeah,
really know much.
the thesis of my channel is I want to talk about the biology I find interesting, which is usually high level, and instead of catering the content to people who are already high level, I get a lot of fulfillment making sure that people who don't have biology background find the same things I find very cool, and therefore I put in a lot of work to make sure that the average person can get up to speed with understanding some of these deeper stories.
Yeah, it's great. I try to do something that I'm in a similar attitude on my channel where I try to explain things for people who might not be as familiar, but certainly not as in depth as you do.
Yeah, I go pretty hard.
But yeah, we're going to be going pretty in depth today, though. Composing 101. So this course is aimed at people who don't know pretty much anything about music. So if you'd like to follow along, and you can download MuseScore and download the worksheet that you have pinned in chats. And where you go. Actually, I think MuseScore might be down, so that's a little bit unfortunate right now. Just happened to be down like 15 minutes before stream started. Anyway, let's say hello to everyone in chat here. Fuck no, welcome in. And Fura, I'll be lurking. This is so cool. I'm excited to get educated. I hope you all learned something. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, so with Phi, we're actually not going to be using the worksheet because I think it's going to be a little bit cleaner without all this explanation. But for you at home, hopefully the explanations can help you follow along a little bit better. So we're going to start off in MuseScore with an empty score. And Phi, you can follow along here. If you go to File and then New, you can select Grand Staff and just double click that and away we go. And let me know when you got that up.
Grand Staff. Which family is that in?
So if you go to, let me see what we have here. Sorry, it's gotta do a new thing again. If you go into create from template on the top,
Ah, create from template. Okay.
yeah,
Grand Staff. Gotcha.
there you go.
Okay, cool.
And so I think if you press P, you'll bring up the piano keyboard. We're going to start with that there. Um, so you can visualize this, but I will also be bringing it. Sorry, come on, there you go. I will also be bringing out my piano keyboard here because I do have it with me. And actually, you can see it over Discord, so if you want to look at that. Um, so the music notation, Western music notation is built upon effectively the keyboard, so the piano keyboard. Um, so you have the white keys and you have the black keys. Those are all very all specific notes. The baseline note that everyone will tend to hover around is middle C. So this is your reference note. You also hear A440, this one, um, and that is the tuning pitch. But for the most part, when you're talking about where notes are. Middle C is a good place to start. And then we're only going to be working with the white keys today, so this is going to be the C major scale, is what that's called. And you can ignore the black keys for now. Any questions so far?
Oh, I think we're good.
Okay. By the way, what's your music background?
Yeah, so I auditioned for chorus as a high schooler and got rejected. So instead, I joined my high school's a cappella group. So my music background consists of pretending like I know how to read sheet music. That's why I've made like little ditties and little songs in high school, but I think where I struggle is I don't know because music seems like this grand sandbox, but this is a sandbox that has certain rules. And as a high schooler, I was playing in the sandbox without understanding the rules in any kind of way. So what ended up being nothing. So I have some familiarity, but like not much.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so music does, while it can be very flexible, it also, as you said, has some rules to help keep things a little bit more organized. The rules are there to explain what sounds good and what doesn't sound good, but that doesn't mean you can't break away from them. Because a lot of times there are some unexpected things that do sound good and they don't follow the rules. But as with a lot of things, art-wise, to know how to break the rules, you need to know what the rules are first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. These notes on the piano keyboard. So starting with middle C here, these map to the spaces and the lines on the staff. So middle C is right here on this staff here, and that goes up the staff like that. So if you see on the bottom, if you have your piano keyboard up on MuseScore, you can see where they are on the keyboard.
And what is this input menu? Like, so I play on the piano, but it doesn't actually record
Oh,
in
yes.
the.
So if you go up here at the top here, there's this little pencil icon.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you can click around on the staff.
Gotcha. But if I, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so if you like, you can play around with
Okay.
that and see where all the notes are. Even play the black
Yeah.
keys if you want. You can see how that gets manifested on the score. But we aren't going to be touching those today.
All right. Cool. How do I remove a note?
You
Oh,
can press escape and then press delete on the notes.
okay, cool.
Okay. Um, I use the keyboard shortcut, so I'm gonna forget that I'm gonna forget that you don't know any of these, and then we'll default to using the keyboard shortcut. So N is your keyboard shortcut for entering notes.
Hmm.
And then on the keyboard, you can also use the letter names, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it'll add a note to the nearest notes there.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're gonna add something to make this a little bit easier to see. If you select the entire bar here and then press staff part properties, and you right click rather,
Okay.
and then go to advanced style properties, should bring up another
All
dialog.
right.
And then under note head scheme, you can go to pitch names.
Ooh, fun. Cheat
Yeah,
sheet.
and then it'll show you the actual pitches. So this is a bit of a
Okay.
crutch. It's better if you can learn not to rely on this, but given it's a crash course, it'll make it easier. Yeah, you can do that
All right,
for
very
the
cool.
bottom staff as well.
Oh, you have to do it. I see. I see.
Yeah,
This one's for the bass.
and so this is for the top staff. This little thing here is called the treble clef. The pitch that it marks is the G. So this line here, because it curls around, is the G. And every staff and or sorry, every space and line that is above it is one letter above.
Mm-hmm.
So from the G, you get the A, B, C. and notes go from A through G and then wrap around to G, at least in the English system. The Germans have a bit of a weirder system where they assign B to some other note and call it H instead. Um, yeah, we're working with the English system today, so there's not going to be much confusion about that. And telling me there have been training wheels this whole time. Yes, there are. Okay. So this is middle C on this staff, but on the bass clef here, you have this line being marked as F, so the line between the two dots is F, and then similarly, every staff a staff line above and below are letters above and below. So if we go to CD,
So the area that is encompassed by the curve is always this letter. So in bass clef, the curl is always F, and so if it's up or down, that's where the F is. Is that
yeah.
correct?
So with this clef,
Okay.
in between the two dots or where it curls is where F is, and with the treble clef, where it curls is where the G is.
Okay.
There's another clef that you'll often see in a little bit more advanced music called the C clef, and that indicates where C is, where middle C is. But at this level, you don't really need to worry about that.
Cool.
This middle C and this middle C are the exact same. So you can think of the grand staff as continuous, just with a little bit of a gap in the middle, so it's easier to read. But these are, if we copy this over there and then delete this, you'll hear that the pitches are all ascending in a continuous way. Let's get that to load. Hold on. I'm going to switch this over to MS Basic. So for any of you who have Muse Sounds enabled, you may want to consider disabling it using MS Basic because it's a little bit more consistent, which is going to help drill in, I guess, the fundamentals. Muse Sounds is the more realistic sound bank, and it's very nice if you actually want to render stuff. But for teaching, I think the basic sounds are probably better. They're also lighter, so they actually load in right away. But yeah, so going from here, and then you'll notice that there is no break here because it's all continuous. Okay, those are the staff pitches. Any questions?
No, I think we're good so far.
All right.
Nice review.
Very good. I realize we've actually skipped a step on the worksheet. So for any of you following the worksheet, we'd actually skipped ahead to pitches. So we can go back to the notes section, the first section. All right, welcome in scales. Yes. So you see up top here on the toolbar, you have all these little symbols here. The basis is going to be the whole note. So that is worth one whole note. In 4/4, which I'll explain in a bit, that is one whole bar. And then you can also have half notes, which fit in, two of them fit in one whole note, as so. And then you can probably guess what the quarter note is. Four of them fit in one note, and then the eighth notes. And they have the 16th notes. Of course, 16 of those fit in one whole note. So for as a general guideline, the more black it has, the shorter the note is. Most music you'll see will probably be using only these five. As you notice here, there are shorter ones if you really need to, and there are actually longer ones if you really need to as well. If you go under the customized toolbar, you'll see all the different options you have available to you. But nobody uses the longer ones, and hardly anyone uses the shorter ones.
Sounds pretty good for 4/4.
Yeah. And we aren't going to go past 4/4 today. 4/4 means that so the bottom note, the bottom number means that the quarter note gets the beat, and then the top note means that there are 4 beats in the bar. So in another,
So
go
like,
ahead.
yeah. So if I'm to interpret it correctly, oh, so what do you mean by the lower note determines that? Sorry, can you repeat that part one more
Yeah. So
time?
the lower number of the time signature
Yeah.
determines which note value gets the beat. So in this case, 4 means the quarter note. And then the top number says how many beats are in the bar. So in this case, 4 quarter notes is what this means.
And then so if it's 3/4, then it's 3 quarter notes.
Yes.
Is there a case where like that bottom number gets kind of funky, like 5? Like what is a 5 in the bottom? It's a quarter and a bit,
Yeah. So
or
those are called exotic time signatures. You will hardly ever encounter those. To be honest, I don't know what that means. For the
okay.
most
So
part,
there are like hard rules, not hard rules, but harder rules as to what that bottom number can be for it to like make logical sense. Like there's some logical bounding box for that lower number.
yeah. So generally, these will be a power of 2. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. If you really need 240 32, and anything outside of that is exotic.
So what would a waltz look like in notation like this?
Yeah. So a waltz is typically going to be in 3/4.
3/4. Okay, okay, I can understand that.
Yeah.
That makes
5 to 9.
sense to me.
Yeah. 5 to 9 here says even exotic time signatures are usually the denominator of 4/8. I think you might be thinking of uncommon time signatures because you have uncommon ones that are say like 5/4 or like 17/16 or whatever. But there are crazy time signatures that have non-powers of 2 at the bottom. And again, I don't know what that
Yeah.
means, but people do make them.
I do remember just watching those Deltarune. I don't know if you've played Deltarune, Penbu, but there's like a song in there where people are like saying how there's some insane time signature, and I always kind of wondered what about it makes it insane. I think it was like 15/16 or some crazy. But to me, that's just all nonsense. But I'm beginning to understand a bit more.
Yeah. Mari here says irrational time signatures, and I think that might actually be the correct term. So yeah, I'm off with my terminology. Um, I haven't passed this through anyone, so hopefully it's not that one. Sorry, I'm trying to pin the worksheet again because it got unpinned, even though I thought I had said manually unpin until the end of the stream. Anyway, um, this worksheet I have not actually passed through anyone, so you're all guinea pigs for this. Hopefully it all makes sense.
It's cool. I appreciate you making it free. That's kind of awesome.
Reflecting on here, even the third sanctuary is still just N4 and N8, I believe. The main bit people talk about is 11 plus 12, 8. Yeah, sometimes you get more compound time signatures where it's a weird number, and then perhaps you get plus attached to another one too.
So if the bottom number is 8, does that mean sort of like the base thing that exists is an eighth note?
Yeah,
I'm a little okay,
yeah.
okay.
So let's we can explore that. I mean, I said we wouldn't, but we can explore a little bit. That's where is my thing? There it is. So if you go under time signatures, you should be able to see that in there somewhere. You can add a 6/8 to your thing, and then you can see that if you switch to an eighth note, you can see that there are 6/8 notes in the bar.
Oh. Oh
Mark.
man. Okay. I mean, I know that's not important for today, but I'm understanding why 11 plus 12 divided by 8 is a little can be a little nutty to keep track of.
Yeah, generally with subdivision, as what this is called, You'll either group the notes in groups of 2 or groups of 3, or mix them. In 4/4, you get groups of 2, so 4 groups of 2. And then in 6/8, you get 2 groups of 3. But in something like 11 plus 12, the groupings are a little bit arbitrary.
Yeah, I guess this is fun and interesting for me just to see how music is constructed. Even if it doesn't have anything directly to do with composing music, I still think it's kind of cool. And so, like, is the time signature mutable between different works? Like, could you have sheet music that sounds like 4/4, but you write it in 6/8? And if you were to do that, would it look absolutely insane?
Yeah, you could actually, because what you can do is, so going off on a little bit of a tangent here, you can do something like, say you have this, and you can make it a tuplet. So you can subdivide it into ways that are not don't line up with the grid of the time signature. So often in say 4/4, you get you can make a triplet where you have 3/8 notes fitting into the span of a quarter note. So you can do
Okay.
the
So
math.
time
Sorry, go ahead.
So time signatures are more are like the easiest way to convey the sound I want for for human eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, it might seem basic to anybody who actually knows music, but I figured it'd be nice to ask.
Yeah, 5 to 9 here says like formatting code. Yeah, kind of. And Mari here says they probably meant the top number for Deltarune, but the bottom number can be not a power 2, but it's incredibly rare. Not particularly explored practical composing. Yeah, I I think I've only seen not a power 2 on the bottom in examples, and I've never seen any actual works use it. But maybe I just haven't explored that. The Mari also says here, people write stuff in 4/4, but write in quintuple rhythms because heck, you get rocked. Yeah, especially in more, I don't know, I don't want to put genres there that don't actually do this, but jazz, or perhaps rock or metal or things like that, they'll often use tuple rhythms.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Okay. Any questions on what we covered? Actually, no, sorry, I missed one. Rests. So rests are the absence of notes. So during a rest, you don't play. Uh, but they also have note values. So this is the whole rest. You know that it's a whole rest because it's hanging on top of the or hanging from the line. Whereas the half rest, it looks very similar, but it's sitting on the line. You'll just come to learn to know that.
And a whole rest is how long? Oh, like the whole measure?
It's the same as the whole note.
Okay,
Um,
okay, okay.
so this is where it gets a little bit ambiguous because whole rests are also used for the entire bar in a time signature that has less than that, or sometimes more, depending on who's engraving.
But for I'm guessing most pop music is probably just 4/4,
Yeah.
right?
So in the context of 4/4, the whole rest and the whole note both line up. So yeah, and then they have the half rest and they have the quarter rest, which is probably what you're thinking of when you think of a rest in music. No, that's the wrong one. And then you have the eighth rest, and then you have the 16th rest, which looks like the eighth rest but has more of those dots there.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, and as with the 16ths and the eights, you can add more of these dots and it'll get shorter and shorter. Fear here, it helps me think that music was ultimately a creative expression and notation was essentially created for people to share ideas instead of just going, the note goes beat a boop, the dot, boop, boop. Yeah, I think that's how it would have developed. Because for a long time, surely, like before notation was developed, people were making music, and then this was just a way of notating it so that you can pass it down and share ideas. It's kind of like how language probably how language evolved, right? People would speak it, and then at some point, people figured you need to write the stuff down so that you can better share the ideas. And music, I think, is the same way.
The era of vibe composing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think without notation, you basically just pass it down by I similarly, I guess, to word of mouth, where you teach the person to do it. Displeased by the gap between notation knowledge and my composition knowledge. Well, hopefully this will bring your composition knowledge up a little bit. Okay. So moving on. We aren't limited to just single notes played at once. We can also do multiple notes played at once. And so you may have heard of something called a chord. I'm going to use a whole note for this one. So in the oh right, I'm in 6/8. I'm gonna change that back to 4/4.
I set you up.
I'm gonna make a system break here too, actually, or yeah, break there, just so it's a little bit cleaner. So here, I'm gonna use a whole note again. So starting at the root of the chord is what it's called, and you skip the space, go up to the next one, and then go up to the line above that. This is what's called a triad. This is the basic chord. So chords, as long as it's more than one note being played at the same time, even if it's just two, it's still called a chord. But most people, when they think of chords, they're thinking of triads. In the C major scale, you have the C major, D minor, uh, E, E minor, and then F major. Can't see that. G major, A minor, and then B diminished, and then back to C major. You don't have to worry about major, minor, and diminished for now. Just know that that is a thing. And across scales, this pattern is the same. So whether you're in G major or F major or whatever, that it's going to follow major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Um,
So I'm gonna need to back up for a second. I get
sure.
the concept of a chord, but so what exactly is a scale?
Yes. Okay.
Super basic question.
Yeah, I think I might have explained that in the sheet and may have skipped it. So scale, if we go down here, is basically where you start on a note. So let's say C, and then you go up all the letters until you get back to the note. I'm missing
Okay,
B.
so this series of chords that you played, that is like the major scale, like like what scale is this?
Yeah. So
Because I
this.
understand the capacity of like going upwards, but like what do the chords correspond to in the scale?
Okay. Yeah. So this is the C major scale. The scale basically tells you what notes you have available to you. Um, so as if you see down here at the piano keyboard, right, all the white notes are highlighted, and those are the notes that are available to us in the C major scale. It works best if you stick within the notes of the scale, although you can go outside of it if you know what you're doing. The notes that we built up, or the chords that we built up are here, are basically the notes of the C major scale, but with extra notes on top. So you see here C, D, E, F, G, A, B are all built off the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C um, from that scale. And this is basically an exploration of what happens when you make chords from those notes.
I see. And these are specifically the triads of this scale.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And triad just refers to the fact that there are three notes, right? Not necessarily the relationship between those three notes.
Yeah, triad specifically means three. Well, I don't remember what the ad means, but the tri means three.
Right. But like if you were to change because these have a particular spacing between them across the entire scale, and if you were to change the spacing, say instead of G, it's F or whatever. Uh, like is there something particular about the way that you have composed these chords that have a label?
Yeah, so I don't actually know what this is. To get into why they're major, minor, diminished, you have to get into intervals, which I wasn't planning on getting to. But it has to do with the spacing between the notes. So if you look down on the piano keyboard with one of the chords selected, so say the C major chord here, or you see that it skips one and then skips one. But if you count the number of keys that are in between, so in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see that it's slightly different between this one and the next one. So 1, 2, 3. So that determines the quality of the chords, whether it's major or minor.
Or rather, I guess what I'm getting at looking at the worksheet is that is there anything special about this series of chords, or did you just make chords as an example? Does that kind of make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Like, I know these are built off of C, but I'm wondering where the rest of the chord came from, or you just decided to have these as simple examples.
Yeah, so I don't know where exactly they came from, why people decided thirds. So this interval here is called a third, where you
Hmm.
skip the space if you're starting on a line, or if you're starting on a space, you skip the line. Major triads are built generally off of thirds, and I guess that's just the way it is.
Okay, cool.
Marlon, welcome in. B to C and E to F are the tricky ones, yeah. To point that out, note that there is no black key between the E and F, and then the B and C here. That's because they are only what they call a semitone apart. So each key, um, whether they're black or white, are a semitone apart. And it just so happens that between certain notes, even though they're both white keys, they are just a semitone apart. Okay. Don't but hope that wasn't too confusing.
No, I think these are good questions for me to have answers to, just because it's I'm beginning to
Yeah.
see major. Sorry, stupid.
5 9 here. I went a very long time thinking chord names were fractions rather than ordinals or interval names. Yeah, so actually we're not going to touch on that because that touches on intervals and we're not touching intervals today. When you follow the C major scale, you stack up 2/3 on top of a note while following C major scale, you build up those particular chords. So yeah, if you follow the pattern of building up in thirds, like this, then you build up the degrees of the scale. Is why B is the only chord that is diminished while the other chords are major and minor. Yes. So if we go over to here, right, if you count the number of notes that are in between, or number of keys that are in between each note, you'll see that for B, there's only three half steps between each of them instead of 4 half steps for one of them. And so that's why that one's called diminished. Wasn't planning on getting there, but it came up in chat, so there we go.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's cool.
so you mentioned earlier about G being E and F, and in this case, I actually don't know what this chord would be called. This is probably a move this up. It's probably an incomplete F major seventh. So we're not going to touch that one. But you can do things like rearrange the notes of the chords so that they line up a little bit better with the notes of the previous chord. So if we go to, I'm going to add a new. I'm going to add another system or another break here. So say we start with the C major chord. And then we can go through the chords of Pachelbel canon, for example. This is the one that I have in the worksheet, or at least the Pachelbel's canon is in D major. We're transposing it down to C major, just to keep things simple. But transposition doesn't really change the relationship between the various chords and the notes. So if you have,
So
let's go ahead.
so when a piece of music is said to be in a certain key, like Pachelbel in D, in that's like because key and scale is different, right? What is the difference between key and scale?
Yeah, okay. So we can go there. So if, for example, you have C major, C D E F G A B C, right? And then you have D major, which uses the same steps as C major, just with different keys on the piano, right? So if you notice on the piano keyboard and in the sheet music, there's a sharp here, which tells you to go up a semitone to the black key, and then up a semitone there. Um, and so when you say key of D, you're saying that go over to key signatures here. You are working with the scale, in this case D, D major, that has those notes. And then you can use a key signature so that instead of typing out, say F sharp and C sharp every time, you just say it once at the start of the staff, and then it's assumed that it applies for the rest of the notes.
Gotcha. So when someone says canon in D, the in D is like a useful way to read the music, not necessarily affecting the actual notes themselves.
It does in a way because, as you recall earlier, I said that the scale is the notes that you have available to you, and so you're saying canon in D says that you have the notes of the D major scale available to you. So
Okay,
if
okay.
if instead you transpose it down to canon in C, like we have here, we're saying that instead of the notes in D, you have the notes in C. So
Gotcha,
instead of
gotcha.
starting from D, you start at C. Yeah, Marlon here. Background music is mostly woodwinds, so doing chords isn't something I'm familiar with. Yeah, it chords is an important concept, I think, for composing music, but not so much for playing music. So if you play an instrument that can only basically play just one note at a time, then chords are not something that you'll come across too often. Um, but yeah, so that's the key signatures there. The C major scale has no sharps or flats. So that's why we're working with it today. It makes things a little bit simpler. Um, and these are called natural signs. They basically just cancel out the sharps from the earlier key signature. Okay, so we were going over. Oh yeah, so we were going to go over the chord progression in canon, Pachelbel's canon in C. Can do another break here. So if we start with the C major scale, or C major chord, so this is the first chord, and then go over to G. A shortcut for making these chords here is if you press Alt 3, it'll automatically create the chord that's create the interval that's on top. So you get if you're starting on G, you get the B automatically, and then press it again, you'll get the D. So actually, I can probably do this. Where are we? A, E, F, C, F, G. And I'm just reading that off the sheet. So maybe we did want this down there. Okay, and then we can select all these and do Alt 3 twice, and we get those chords built up.
Very cool.
And so then you notice how they're all kind of all over the place. Um, So you get all these jumps, but so say you were trying to sing this note and this note, right? Maybe these jumps might not be the best. So there's a thing called voicing where you can actually rearrange the notes of the chord, and it'll still stay, in this case, a G major chord, even if you move this up an octave. Octave being the same letter but just up or down. So you notice here how no note in this transition is more than one step away from the previous chord. So the G stays the same, the E goes down to the D, and the C goes down to B, and they're all one step. And then same thing here. You can also pull that up so that it's only one away. And then you can pull these two notes up so that they're one away. And then have this. Mario is saying he can't hear on Twitch. Oh, something happened. Hold on. Something happened with my audio setup. What is this?
Oh no. We were fighting with audio for like a whole hour before stream started. The audio is tough. Yeah,
Swear I got that fixed. Okay, you should be able to hear this now, though. You still can't hear this. Okay, which one is this?
audio, man, I swear.
This
I
one
swear.
and this one.
Here's something that I've been thinking of just for anybody in chat who's learning along with me. Something that I've been very curious about is how composers pick what chords to progress from, because I know there's this whole meme about like you know, you can hear canon and D and everything, and there's that very viral video that imposes all of pop music on top of canon and D. But it's a chord progression that sounds good, and I'm wondering where that comes from. You know, like artistically, where does that come from?
Yeah, and I think swear I got this. I have a patch bay that's supposed to take care of all this. But anyway, you should be able to hear this now. Okay, there you go. So where does that come from? That comes from, believe it or not, mathematics. So if we look at, I'm not going to go into the mathematics, but they found out that the ones that work the best are the intervals, are the chords that say, sorry, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. These notes in the scale you can number as 1 through 8, or 1 through 7. So the start of the scale is the first, or 1, and then the second is 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Intervals, say the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth, those sound the best. So if you create, say, do that, and do that, right, that sounds pretty good. And the reason why is because when you look at the waveforms, and how the frequencies line up, the frequencies of the harmonics of the sound, they line up very, very well. And so when harmonics line up, then it sounds good to your ears. Now I have to explain what harmonics are. So when you're playing an instrument, a note isn't just a single pure frequency. So if it's a single pure frequency, that's just a sine wave. But notes in the real world aren't like that. Usually they'll have frequencies above that that progress in what's called the harmonic series, and that's based on, say you have a string vibrating at a certain frequency. It also vibrates at or at double that frequency, and 3 times that frequency, and 4 times that frequency, and so on and so forth. And so those extra ones are called harmonics. And when those harmonics line up, then that sounds pleasant to our ears. And so when you have that, then I guess through trial or error or whatever it is, people have figured out that certain chords sound good together and sound good in certain combinations and certain sequences. And to be honest, the only four chords that you need, um, for especially for beginner stuff, is the first, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. And you can get away with a lot of things just by using those four chords.
Very cool. And so when you're composing music using this, like the chord gives you the degrees of freedom of what should go in that particular measure. So if you're like screwing around with music and you're writing this pop song with this particular chord progression, those actual notes are your like playground. Is that
Yeah, you can.
accurate? Like, so if you're composing like a bass line for a pop song, then that bass instrument should be playing one of those notes in that chord for that particular measure.
As for a bass rule, yes. It's going to sound the best if you play notes that are in the chord. And you're actually jumping ahead a little bit, because that is what I'm going to get you to do once we start the practical session. But
Sorry, I
that's
just got
that. No, no,
excited.
no.
I'm
That's
excited.
that's good intuition. Um, so yes, when you compose a melody over chords, one of the easiest thing to do is to try to create your melody so that the notes that you play are within the chord. And similarly, in reverse, if you have a melody, you can create the chords by figuring out what notes are, what chord contains that note. And we'll also get there during the practical at the end. Glenn, welcome in. For some reason, YouTube chat hasn't worked for me. Not sure if some of my browsers are joining on the Twitch side this time. Hello, welcome in. YouTube, if anyone wants to test anything, you can feel free to send a message. Make sure it's still working on that side. Okay, so those are chords. Any questions?
Not on this part, not yet.
Okay. So now we go ahead to the practical, where I gave you uh, a list of chords in the worksheet, and you can just copy and paste that into your own thing, and we'll make chords out of that. So I'll go ahead and switch to your screen now, and then I'll have you do that.
Okay. Where are you mean in the worksheet? That's where you sent the notes?
Yeah. So in exercise A, so on the third page, we have the chords C, F, C, G, C, F, G, C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. So what is my workbook being cat? Oh no, it's the blank one. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
let
So
me
you
go
can just
ahead
copy that into the blank one.
and I believe this is the one that we're looking at, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't
Okay.
see what you're seeing, but yes, probably.
Okay. So if I have the notebook open as well, I should be able to make a C chord. Okay. So, and do some of this. C, E, G is a C chord.
Sorry, if you're doing something in the workbook, we can't see it.
Okay, so I think I have two of the workbooks open. So let me go ahead and this is it, right?
Yeah, we can see that one.
Okay, cool. So I will work here. Okay, so a C chord.
And for those of you who want
Yeah.
to follow along as well at home, the worksheet is pinned in chat, so you can go ahead and download that, and MuseScore if you don't already have it.
Oh, why did I default to bass?
I'm not sure, but you do actually want to be working in the bass stack right now.
Oh, okay.
You have the advantage of the bass and treble being fairly equivalent to you, because you're not used to one or the other. A lot of people will end up being used to, say, the treble clef because a lot of people teach in the treble clef, and uh, and they have a harder time transitioning to reading notes on the bass clef. For
Hmm.
you, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to switch your if you
Oh,
want to see the note names, you can do that as well if you wanted to.
right, right. I it's because it's a different menu. Don't remember how to do
Yeah, so
that.
if you get out of edit mode, you can select a bar.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. And then staff properties, advanced style
yeah,
properties,
Mari
pitch
here. No one
noise.
mentioned the alto clef. I already mentioned it earlier. It's a little bit too late for that. Although I did say it's not something you really need to worry about right now.
Okay, so chords. Oh, don't remember how you did that in the software.
Which one?
How to make an actual chord instead of just a series of notes.
Oh yeah. So you can start with your first note, and then just make sure that if you're using the mouse, you can uh, make sure that you click directly in line with the note.
Hmm, that did not appear to do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah,
No,
like
that's not
that.
right.
Yeah, I mean the chord's not right, but the way you make the chord is, yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
okay. So let's try that again, this time with notes that make sense.
Yeah, so I think if you want to use the piano keyboard to build the chord, I think you can press the key and hold shift and press the key uh build on top. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so that's C, C major. Yeah, okay. F.
Yeah. And remember you want to be working the bass clef because we'll be using the
Oh, sorry.
top stack for other things later. Glenn here. Anyway, it's funny how a ton of our problems come from how we have 7 notes per octave system in music notation, but actually have 12 distinct notes per octave that make the system work. Yeah, that is true. The the scale itself is the 7 notes, but you do have the notes in between. So in this case, the C major scale has the 7 white keys, um, but you do still have all those black keys in the middle.
Hmm. I want my cheat sheet.
But what
And the
about the
next one
notes
is
in between those
F.
notes? Then you get into microtonal stuff. We're not covering that today.
Ah, ah.
Yeah, so you want to
Maybe
be
that.
making those as whole notes. So you want to make sure that you
Oh, we're
select.
doing.
Yeah, you want to make sure you select the note value first before you enter it in. If it makes it easier for you, I use the keyboard. So I just put in, or I just type C and it puts in a C.
Yeah, I wanted to try to avoid that just to
Yeah, fair enough.
actually force myself to learn what these are, right? Because F is this one. Are you F? No, you're A.
That's an F on the
Are
treble
you F?
clef.
Oh, that's why. Okay. I was like, I learned these at some point very, very long ago. Okay, for now I'll just enter on the keyboard. Okay. Ah, but I forgot to do whole note. Okay, I'll do it for the next one.
Yeah, and you can change the note value later. You just select it and then press the note value.
And then this one is C again. Then it is G. Then C again.
Marlin over here in chat. Though A to A sounds minor even if you play the white keys. Yeah, so I was not going to get into modes today, but that is something that is a thing. In my opinion, if you're going to be teaching major minor, you should start with modes first, because then major minor are just another mode. I do a lot of transcribing covers of songs I like from, for example, games I play just as an exercise in music making. I guess copying something else someone else did might be too limiting as a learning tool. Not sure. Struggle to transcribe actual chords, so so far I just transcribed the primary notes of the melody. Yeah, so I think it's good to do the transcription exercise as ear training. It gets you it gets you used to things from exposure, and then you can see what other people are doing, and then maybe you can try to do that in your own things too. Okay, I see that you have the chords here, so now you can try to voice them in such a way that they don't jump around so much.
Okay.
And so what might help you here is the octave jump. If you select the note, you can press Control up or down to have it jump an octave.
And should I do it with all of the chords?
Yep. So for the first chord, the C chord, you can leave that as just in that like a regular triad. And so your C chord can be your bass, that everything else can be a reference against.
This is just this is okay. This is just going up an octave. Hmm.
Yeah, so generally you'll want to be shifting individual notes. So having it all in roughly the same octave is a good thing. And then once you get that, you can shift individual notes up or down so that
Oh.
they line up with the previous chord.
Oh, I've already bucked it. Okay, so
So
this.
you have to click the individual note and not the whole measure.
Yeah. Just trying to be lazy.
Yeah. But yeah, Marlon, I also struggle with like transcribing chords. I can transcribe melody pretty well, but chords usually I just end up guessing based on the melody.
That's correct.
Yes, before you move on there, so your C. Remember that when you voice your chords, you want them to be no more than a step higher or lower than the previous notes. So your C there is quite a ways away from everything else.
In this one?
Yeah.
So how
So
I'm not entirely sure how to fix that.
yeah, so you can bring if you click on the C note itself, and then you bring that down an octave. Yeah, and then you notice how there's no note that is more than a step away from the previous notes.
Okay. So even okay. I see. Can you repeat that rule one more time in terms of distance?
Sure. So every note in the chord should be no more than a step away from the previous notes in the chords. So only one
A
minor.
step away being like from white spot to white spot. That's a whole step.
Uh, so generally you want to be either going from a line to a space or a space to a line or staying on the same space or line.
Okay, so is this G too far?
That one's too far, yes.
Okay. But then everything else is fine. It's
Everything else
straight.
is fine, yeah. And so that's that one still needs a bit of work. The can't read what this is. This is the
The,
F, the one that you touched earlier. Yeah, that one. So if we go back to that F major chord, yeah.
yeah.
So what you had earlier was half right, so you can bring that F up to up an octave. But notice how if you go from the previous chord to the next to this chord, so the previous chord, the C major, yeah, and then you go to the
Yeah.
F. You look at the piano keyboard and see which keys move. Right, it's
Yeah.
jumping a little bit too much. So you can bring the A up an octave, and then now your
Okay.
and then now your E and G move up to an F and A, and it's just one
Sorry,
step.
one more time.
So your two notes up top for both chords, so the E and G of the C major, move up one step to the F and A of the
Mm.
F major, and then your C stays the same.
Just looking at these. And then this one's really low.
So I think that one. Yeah, sorry, keep going. Yeah, I think that one might be a little bit too low as well, because your D jumps from F to D, and that's too many steps.
And then that's super high now.
Yeah, so you want to bring that down to where it was before, um, and then you can try playing around with the different notes and seeing where that takes you. So you don't want to touch the F major chord. Yeah, just touch this one. So there you go. That's better.
Okay. And this is like an exercise to just make sure that everything sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. So especially when you're singing, um, or when you're working with a bunch of different instruments, if you jump around too much, you might be out of someone's range, for example, or
Ah,
it might stick out too much because there's such a big jump. Sometimes you want that, but in most cases, you want to voice things so that they're fairly close together.
I'm gonna play it to see how it sounds. I wish I played it unvoiced too, just to see what that would have sounded like.
I can make that for you here. And put that. I'm gonna put that over here. I'm gonna hide your window so they can see mine. If I can find your window. There it is. Got a bunch here. Um, I'll take the exercise notes. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. And take these and then have the system do it for me.
Very cool.
Oh wait, actually no, I can't do that because the system does the voicing too. uh, so FAC, this is going to be the same. Go ahead and copy that. And then this is the same. And then we just need GBD. We're gonna move this up. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and then if you compare that to the voiced version, bring that down, bring this up, bring that down, bring this up, not that. Notice that it should sound a little bit smoother. Actually, hold on, this is wrong, because that should be up there. And then this should be up there too. The difference is fairly subtle, so you may or may not be able to pick up on it. But if you listen to a series of notes, so like say just the top note, the difference will be fairly clear.
Yeah, like the voiced version is more stably within a certain range, whereas unvoiced, you can hear the higher notes in that version.
Yeah.
Okay, so when composing, make sure to have the chords be voiced just for practicality reasons.
Yeah, and if you're arranging for a number of instruments, if you voice your chords before you start picking them, it makes it a little bit easier to distribute them among the instruments.
Hmm.
Okay, so now that you have the chords, we move on to the next exercise. And as you said, make up a melody that uses the notes in the chord. So in this case, we're going to restrict ourselves to just quarter notes or longer. So no eighth notes, no 16th notes.
Okay.
And you can, if you want, you can do it directly on the treble clef staff.
Treble is the I forget the one on top or the
The
bottom.
one on top, yeah.
Oh, the one on top. Okay, right, because the bottom was bass. So yeah, so a melody over this means that like my tools are what's on the bottom here, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, let's just start am I allowed to curse on your stream? I don't even know.
If you want to, if you feel the need to, it's fine.
Screwing around, I'll put it that way. Okay, so here I can just start messing around with this, I guess. So
Yeah.
these are
Oh,
the ones,
one thing I would say is that make sure you end on the C. But everything else, you're free to do whatever you want.
like the final note in the final measure is a C.
Yeah. So
Okay.
whether that's going to be at the beginning of the bar and you have a whole note lasting until the end, or you have, say, four quarter notes and the last one's going to be C, as long as the final one is C.
That's resolution, right? Or something like that.
Indeed, yes.
I remember something. uh, oh, why are you all the way over there?
Yeah, I don't know. The other VTuber composer or composer VTubers use the mouse, and I think I'm the only one who uses a keyboard, and I don't know how they do it.
Cool.
And for those of you at home, you can follow along with us. We do have a worksheet that's pinned in chat. You can skip ahead to, well, I mean, I guess you'll have to do part A, but once you have that, you can skip ahead to part B.
And part of the fight is just getting used to.
Yeah, getting used to the
Sounds like a
software.
school bell.
Yeah, I think School
Okay.
Bells, like the famous anime one, I think is pretty much just built on the notes of the chord.
Yeah, I'm just going to play. I mean, because of course I don't know how to make music, so I'm just sandboxing right now. But I think that's kind of fun. See what just hardcore sandboxing can do. If anything sounds wrong here, that would be interesting too.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, a lot of us composers, that's all we just do. We have the set of rules, and then we just mess around with those rules, or within
Yeah,
those
because
rules.
for someone without music experience, right? Like, there's no way I hear what I want out of this, but it is cool to see if you play with the rules, if you get something that sounds halfway okay. Oh, what fun.
And to be honest, you're doing something that I think I called out in the worksheet, but I didn't have to say explicitly. Your melody generally has a shape to it, and it's going to sound best if your melody follows the shape of the chords. And you're doing that
Hmm.
pretty well. So if the chord goes up, then your melody will tend to go up. If your chord goes down, your melody will tend to go down, which is
Okay,
exactly what you're doing.
let's listen to this thing. Um, okay, so yeah, I mean, with no like music forethought, right? No real understanding of how music works mathematically. This is pretty much randomly spat out, only using the rules that you told me, which is very exciting. So now I'm going to listen to it. Hey,
Ah, that sounds pretty good. By the way,
that's not bad.
yeah, I in your video.ninja, if you could go to your audio settings and turn off uh, all the audio processing that's on it, because it does get quieter as the piece goes on. I think
Oh,
it's the audio
interesting.
processing.
Yeah, let me go back to the instructions because there was a part of the instructions that you sent me that I don't think I fully put in. So let me go and do that.
Uh,
But yeah, I think like I mean, yeah, that that was cool. I'll just let it rest there for a second because that was neat. Um, yeah, and you can kind of do whatever I think, and it'll at least sound okay, which is like a big deal for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Is like understanding the rules of the actual sandbox is like exciting because then you can actually mess around with the sandbox.
yeah, I'll be honest. What you made here is probably better than what I first made.
I'm also not starting from complete zero either. But I am starting from like zero as in like theoretical zero, I should say. I've messed around before without really knowing anything.
Hmm.
Um,
So in video.ninja, you should be able to click the gear icon. There's a thing called audio, and then you just turn everything off.
audio.
It should be near the
It says
bottom.
no. It says no effects applied.
So
Oh, that's
there's
digital video. Oh, sorry. I understand now.
yeah,
Noise gating, audio gain control off, echo cancel false, noise suppression off. Okay.
everything should be off. And we should be good now. Glenn here
Okay,
says,
cool.
honestly, a lot of process of writing music and also learning to play music comes from a degree of guided trial and error, with a consistent dose of listening to what one has made and thinking about how to improve it. Yeah, speaking from personal experience, that is very true.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for this experience because honestly, like, you know, you can load up a virtual piano and just start mashing keys, but without some structure, it's just gonna sound like mashed keys. So this is honestly very neat.
Yeah. And I have to wonder, so we have the benefit of technology here for us, so I can just play what we wrote. But imagine not having this, and back in the day where you had to write all this by hand and then sound it out on a piano or something.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I mean that's awesome. Um yeah, so my brain is a little fuzzled. Um so I guess the next question that I have, like I'm grateful for this experience. Like I understand the sandbox a bit, right? You can And so from a very practical perspective, as someone without musical experience, if I were to want to make a song and I just have like a vibe of how I want it to sound like, I can look up different chord progressions in say, for example, pop music, just put in the chord manually in this software and then just mess around, right? Like as long as I know what the chords should be to make music in a very basic capacity, just take those chords and then mash within those rules. Um, do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think that's a absolutely valid approach to do it. That's pretty much what I do for my piano improvs. I just take a chord progression and then just improv over that.
That's cool. Obviously, with your experience, you're actually able to improv like on the fly, which is awesome. But for me, it's going to be a lot of looking at my keyboard, clicking one note, and being like, hmm. Um, I guess this is maybe a bit more of an advanced question, and it's a little targeted because I didn't say it at the beginning of stream, but I am trying to see whether or not it would be possible for me to write a very simple song for a charity incentive as somebody without any kind of real musical background. Like, I think it's important for me to do it with my own, well, at least mostly with my own two hands, because I don't make a ton of money to pay someone else to do it for me, and B, I think it's more meaningful if I like have a charity incentive and it's like, hey, I'm I would love to meet this charity incentive and actually show you, as a very vulnerable part of myself, as someone who is making stuff for a living, this like baby step real thing that I made. I just think it would be more artistically valuable for it to have come solely from me. So that's kind of like my perspective here. And Penbu, I shared with you a little bit of what I had been playing around with. But if I could squeeze a little bit of a direct question to you, um, if that's okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
how do you think about composing a chorus versus composing a verse? Because I find that chorus is like not that bad for me. I can sandbox in my own head what a chorus of some whatever song should sound like. But then I find myself struggling a lot, like a lot, with coming up with anything having to do with a different part of a song that isn't the chorus. So if you watched my video on the Black Plague, I wrote a little ditty called the Learning Blender song, but I didn't have to write a very long song, right? It's the equivalent of like half a chorus, and I felt like that was pretty comfortable for me. But then like if I had to come up with a verse, all of a sudden I'm unable to like mentally imagine the sandbox anymore. It just gets so stuck.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly common problem. I get this sometimes too, where the chorus is very high energy. It's very easy to resolve things. With the verse, you want to be a little bit more. You want to have a little bit more tension. Um, and I think the easiest way to do that is to take the chords you have in the chorus, and then maybe just rearrange the chords so that they're in a different order. So that's
Oh,
an easy way of approaching that.
I'm writing that down. So if you rearrange the chords in a different order, that feels so wrong in the sense of like, this is a chord progression and this is the foundation of pop. So like in an actual pop song that is based on the same chord progression as canon and D, do they change the chord progression in the verse as well? Is that what's happening there?
So I can actually demonstrate this because I have a piece that is based on Canon and D. I think we're actually working on that right now. So if I may do a little bit of an excursion here and play that piece for you, we'll go ahead and show you what I did here.
Okay, sounds good.
And my piano turned off. You still hear that? String can hear that.
I can hear it.
Okay. So this is in. I wonder if I should transpose this. This is an E flat. So I might actually transpose it down to C.
My screen is still on. If you wanted to show your thing, I don't know if you do
Oh,
though.
I have a separate piano source so they can see my piano.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. For you, you should be looking in Discord.
Okay.
So I have, so this is C, that's 1. That's G, that's 5. Oh no, that's not canon D. Which one was it? Anyone remember? Right, anyone who knows my pieces? Which one's canon D? Ah, it was this one. Okay. So yeah, looking back, it's the one I did for my 1 year anniversary. Um, so that's 1 C major. That's the 5, the G major. So that's A minor. That's a 6. And then this is F major, the 4th. Right. So we go down to the 3rd, the E minor. Then the 4th. This follows the progression of canon D, just in C major. And then I think I switched to a verse structure that's like this. So that would be the 1, 5, then 6, which is the same as what we had before. But instead of going to the 3rd, I jumped straight to the 4th and cut it short. So whereas in the original we had so those chords, the canon, we have instead the 4 chords like this. And so you can play around with the chords, either add more chords or delete chords and all that kind of stuff. Just to make sure that it's different from what you had before.
Okay, that's actually quite useful too, just because I don't know. It feels like whatever, if I'm thinking of a chorus, I just make more chorus. It doesn't ever end up feeling like a verse. It just feels like I'm just writing a longer chorus. So that's actually really cool because then after I'm happy with whatever chorus I've written, if I force just, sandbox it and force myself to not do the same progression, I'm sure some new idea will pop up eventually.
Yeah, generally. And actually, I'm going to pull this out again. In the latest piece that we've been working on, I actually had to do something like that where I had the verse and the chorus, but I needed some way to bridge the two. Not like an actual bridge, but just some sort of interlude between the two, so it's a better transition. And so my chorus went something like this. I'm going to transpose this down to C. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Anyway, so that last part is the little interlude that I have between the verse and the chorus, and that is basically just taking the main chords of the chorus and just shrinking it a little bit and turning it into something a little bit more repetitive.
Hmm.
And
That was cool to see. I could tell that it sounded like a different part of the song.
yeah, and then actually I didn't get to play the verse. I'll play the verse right here too. Um, and this is where you take the chords and then rearrange them. So this goes. So you notice how it's mostly the same chords, just there's more of the A minor, which we didn't get to see previously in the chorus. So that's another way of doing it, where you can take a chord that plays a minor role in, say, your chorus, and then turn it into a more. I don't want to say. I didn't want to use minor and major because those mean something else in music, but a more prominent role in the verse.
Yeah, I also noticed that, I mean, to my ears, it sounds like your verse is a little more like low key because like the chorus has is like brighter in a kind of way. I guess because you're building up to something that is more expressive when you get there.
Yeah. So yeah, generally your chorus you want it to be the have the most energy, and so everything else should be a little bit less than that.
Ah, that's cool. I feel like that's gonna help a lot because I've just been so stuck. Because like the because I don't have the like background, it's like it's just like vibes, right? But then you can only get so far with vibes, and having this advice is really really that makes me feel like if I just played around a bit longer, this charity incentive might actually be like a thing that could happen.
No, I'm sure you can do it.
That's cool.
We're ready to move on to the next bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the next bit, we're going to take your melody, and notice how I restricted you to only using quarter notes and no eighth notes, no 16th notes, and that's because we're going to add some of those in. We're going to add some of those in this next bit. So we're going to take the example that I had in the worksheet. Sorry, chat can't see that. I'm going to do that again. So the example in the worksheet is this. Fairly simple. It just goes through the notes of the chords. But what you can do is you can add in notes that are not in the chord. And you can also use shorter notes. So for example, we turn this into an eighth note that allows us to add an F into here so that we go up a little bit more smoothly. And the F is not in the chord, but because of the way that we try to resolve to a note in the chord, or build up to a note in the chord, this actually sounds fine. And then we can do the same thing here as well. So from the A in between, we have the B. This is called a passing tone because it passes through. And so we have to listen to this. All right, it sounds a little bit more natural. Um, any questions so far?
Oh, that looks good.
Okay.
Checks out.
And then in the same way that we can vary the notes that we use, we can also vary the rhythm. So instead of just using straight quarter notes, we can also uh, lengthen some notes so they're not just quarters. So if you press dot on a note or click this one here, the augmentation dot, this lengthens the note by a half. So instead of a quarter, this is now a quarter plus an eighth. So effectively the length of 3/8 notes. And so what this does is it has the listener stay at the note in anticipation of the next note. So see how we're waiting here for a little bit. It wants to resolve down, but we're not letting them get there yet.
Feels like anxiety.
A lot of music is basically just balancing between tension and resolution, and you basically use those to your advantage. Okay. I think those are the two techniques I covered in this section. You want to give that a shot?
Sure. So let's see. This is uh exercise C question mark? Hold on.
Yeah. So exercise C is basically take what you have that you made in exercise B, which is what you have in front of you now, copy it to the next 8 bars, and then change it up.
Okay.
So you should be able to shift click So you can shift click from the first bar until the next until the last bar, and it should select everything.
Yeah. First, I'm just gonna listen to. I'm gonna try to be not doing it randomly. I want to listen to how it sounds and then see if I can make something that is motivated instead of just randomly mashing on rhythm keys. So
Hmm.
let me listen to this one more time. The problem is I just kind of like the way it is.
And I mean, there are songs that are like this, right? So, um,
Yeah.
but sometimes you have to break away from comforts to get something that's even better.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what I would mess around with. Probably this last bit doesn't seem very good to me. Or rather, I feel like this kind of comes out of nowhere. Hmm. Sorry, it must
No,
be so boring for your audience to like listen to me replay this simple thing over and over again. But I'm genuinely trying to be like, if I were to make a targeted change, what would it be?
no, I mean a lot of music making is just playing the same thing over and over again. So this is normal.
Yeah, I imagine it's like editing too, where I'm just all over the place with editing. Do do do.
Once again, for you at home, if you want to try this out yourself, you can download the worksheet and follow along. We're at exercise C.
Do, do, do. Don't want it to be a whole note. Well, where is that? Whoa. Uh, I don't understand what's happening. Give me
What
my
are you
eighth
what are you
note.
trying to do here?
Oh, okay. No, I think this is what it's supposed to be doing. Well, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. How much more economy do I have?
Yeah, you can kind of estimate because with with the way that uh, groups are broken, usually you break it in the half, at least for 4/4. So you have a group of 4 notes, and then a group of 4 notes again.
Yeah. Uh, okay. What does that sound like? So this because this is accented, it drags into the next measure as
Uh,
like a.
Sorry,
Yeah, was that?
continue.
Oh, it's just that because this is the last note of this measure and it's accented, it drags into that next measure without it. And then it automatically added a rest here too.
Yeah, so you get that because you're trying to insert a note that was longer than what you have in the rest of the measure. and so it spills over into the next one. And the little curve there is called a tie. And when you have two notes that are tied, then you hold the note for that duration. So it's basically like a plus operator.
Gotcha. And it's so like it like will bleed into each other.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Ah, this is so cool, man.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
This is neat. I don't like how this just stayed the same. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. It's already the lowest note in the thing. Na, 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 na. Na, na, na. Maybe, maybe I just want this to be longer. 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is what I want. No, there should be some da 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 da.
I can hear it. I
Da
hear the
da da
vision.
da 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 da. Da, da. Can I go down an octave?
I should be able to.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, sometimes you accidentally go onto a note and then it sounds the way you want it to, and that's just the way it's going to be. Wasn't what you're thinking of. I mean, in this case, it wasn't what you were thinking of. But sometimes accidental placements just work out.
Um, why does it still? I'm in edit mode.
No. So you
Oh
want to,
no, I'm not. Okay, there we go. There we
yeah.
go. Da, 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 da. Okay. I mean, I think for the lesson, I think that's probably okay for now. Like the messing around with all these other notes is cool.
Yeah, I think actually you've gotten the rhythm part fine, where you've changed up the rhythm so that it's not all chord notes. But I don't think you have any notes that are outside of the chord.
Oh, okay. So let's try. Let's screw around with that then. Um, any guidance for just like any note out there, or
Yeah, so
should
I
it stay
think
within the C scale?
yeah, you want to at least for now you can stay within the C scale because going to accidentals requires a little bit more uh it's a little bit more experimental. But
Okay.
one of the things you can do here is if you have repeated notes, you can change them so that they're not repeated. So for example, that E flat, or sorry, not E flat, the E's that you have over in the third bar, right? Those two are repeated. You can
Mm.
change that up so that you have say you turn the first one into 2/8 notes and you have a neighboring tone so that it's not just straight from E to E. You can do say like E F E or whatever else you want.
Just to see what that sounds like. Yeah, cool. I will attempt. I find it a little sad that I can't just like drag the note up manually. Is there a way I can do that?
I don't work with the mouse, so I'm not actually sure.
Oh, okay.
No, like, does dragging just not work?
No,
I
it
think,
doesn't.
yeah, I think you might be able to drag if you're not in edit mode.
Oh, ooh, so I can. down a note here.
I've Kate for a bit. Have you taught him about neighbor notes and passing tones yet? We are right at that part, yes.
So, change this, but then I don't want the rest in between. Is it because I have too many notes in here and that's why it's not allowing me to, because these are eighth notes.
Are you trying to get rid of the rest by, because you can get rid of the rest by lengthening the previous notes so that instead of an eighth, it's a quarter. Or you can add a note inside in place of the eighth rest.
Ah, okay, that's probably a little easier. Oh, okay. See how that sounds. That's cute. That is cute.
Yeah, you
So
got
even though the F is here, it doesn't sound out of place.
yeah. So you've actually hit on something a little bit later that was going to come up later, but there's a uh, I don't remember what it's called. Music people in the chat, let me know if you remember what this is. But basically, you can, even if it might clash, you can delay the resolution for a little bit and create that tension if you want that tension to be there. So your F, or sorry, your G, is your resolution, but the F, because it's not in the chord, creates a little bit of tension that, and it wants to resolve to that G.
Ah, and because they're linked eighth notes, it's not so tense that it sounds terrible. It's
Yeah.
slightly perceptible.
Glenn here, suspension or appoggiatura,
Mhm.
depending on how you do it.
That is true. If I really focus on it, that F does sound a little tiny bit out of place. Mhm. Oh, cool. Okay, so I mean that's not really a hard fast rule, but that's okay. Play with stuff outside of chords. Even, or I should say, don't be afraid to get a little discordant. Play with length until the note resolves to something that makes sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of beginners uh, can go a little bit too far with that. And the best, I think, is just to use your ears. If it doesn't sound good, then don't use it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Yeah, because I think in trying to make this silly little ditty, I found myself almost like my original vision had been kind of corrupted by looking up a real chord progression, and then I felt like it wasn't what I wanted, but I felt like if I didn't do the chord exactly the way it was supposed to be done, it would be wrong. So I should have just stuck with my guts.
And yeah, I mean, yeah. So your gut, it basically overrides any actual rules. So if it sounds good despite the rules being broken, then you're free to break those rules.
Okay. All right, so that's a chord. That's a note outside the chord. Now let's see if there's anywhere I can make it a little tense by making a note last a bit longer. Just throw that there. Dude.
Yeah, it's good that you're also singing out the note because it's helpful to it's helpful if you have the intuition to have a note in your head and then sound it out and try to match it with the note that you hear coming from the program.
Yeah, because I'm like trying to practice like vision, like is it's it might be very basic, but having a hypothesis, I think, is very fun uh, when it sounds better. Um, no, that one. I want this one. What would that do? Hmm.
I think that's sorry to interrupt here. I think the line that you have there, the curved line, might actually be a slur and not a tie.
Oh,
Actually, no, it is a tie. Never mind. Ignore what I said. If anyone's curious, the difference between the two is that a slur can span multiple notes and notes of different pitches, and it's just a direction to say that they should be played in a way that's smoother together. So basically slurred. Whereas a tie says hold the note for this much longer, but they look the same.
okay, this is cool. I feel like I could. I don't want to just sit here and futz like forever, but I can now. I feel empowered to mess with this now. That's cool.
Yeah, it's turning out pretty well too. I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, that's neat. Uh, and also like very important to get used to messing around with stuff like this before, because I don't know when I would make that song because I feel like there's a lot of low level messing around before actually making a whole thing. But yeah. Um, all right. Is there anything else next part of the notebook? I do have to go kind of soonish.
Yeah, you've actually touched on some of the next part, so we might be able to skip that. So yeah, it's basically just repeating parts but changing them slightly. You know, instead of going up or down, or if you're going up, you can go down, or you can hold notes like you have been doing, or you can swap out some of the chords. So, for example, like take one of the C majors, you can change one of the notes. As long as two notes are the same, it'll sound somewhat equivalent, but it'll sound different enough that it'll keep things interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
common one is say like C major to A minor, where you keep the E and the G, or sorry, E and C the same, but you change the G to an A. So you can do chord substitutions like that. Um, yeah, and just basically play around with stuff like that. The exercise D was going to get you to do that a bunch of times. So if you don't feel like doing that on stream, that's quite okay.
Yeah. We did start a bit late because I was having a lot of trouble on my end making sure the audio was working.
To be fair, Windows audio is quite a pain if you're doing anything more
It
advanced.
it was more I usually like leave a lot of time. Like I like an hour I thought was like pretty good and that ended up not being quite enough time to prepare.
Yeah, I mean it's good for me though because I had to finish the worksheet because admittedly came a little bit underprepared and only decided that the worksheet was good to have last night.
I
Uh,
mean, this worksheet's awesome. Like it's definitely I think a really good place to get people to just be able to sandbox. Because I mean, let me tell you, I've tried to teach myself this stuff before, but like a tutorial is different than something interactive like a worksheet. This is much more. And you also taught me how to use this thing, so I'm very grateful. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think then the last thing we're going to cover is a bonus section where we take a melody and then create chords out of it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That sounds really good to me.
Yeah. I'm just going to make a random one here. Not that. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Interesting. I mean, pressing Q and W to cycle between note values.
Hmm.
This is not going to sound good at all. But we can start with that. Let's make 4 bars of this stuff. Sure. So what I said earlier was basically just take the all right. I need to show you my window. So yeah, basic way here is just to take the first note and then try to build a chord out of that. In this case, it works for this one. And to start off with, you can try just sticking with the 4 chords, the first, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And so in this case, the note that contains the D, if we take the D here, and you can do this experimentally. This is not one of the 4 chords, but hold on. But this is. All right, so every note is going to have 3 chords passing through it. So if we take this, we take that, we take this, then you have this as a chord, and then you have this as the chord. All right, so you have 3 chords to choose from. You can play around with it, see which one sounds the best. And you can start off with the one that is either the first, fourth, fifth, or sixth. In this case, this is the fifth, and then the other ones are not, so we're going to keep this one. And then, again, do the voicing. And then you can start off with doing it every bar. So in this case, we have another D, E, G, F. It can be the same, but you may want to consider changing things up a little bit so it sounds more interesting. So instead of this being the same, which I think is going to sound okay, it doesn't sound awful, but we can change this so that, say we have this instead. And then move on to the next one as well. So from the E, you can start with that, or actually the 4 chords chord that has the E would be the C major there. And so that would be a resolving chord because it is the home chord, the first one.
So if you're starting from a melody, you're not just taking the notes that appear in the melody and mashing them into a chord. You're instead taking the like first note and building a chord around that. That's the kind of part that I'm a little confused.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the first note, because as you've discovered in your own messing around, sometimes the first note isn't actually going to be part of the chord. In this case, this melody lines up fairly well so that the first note in the chord will be the note in the chord, but Say if it isn't, let's say this is like an F or something, then you get a little bit of dissonance, and you might consider something else. Generally, the notes in the melody will have a tendency to have more of a certain more notes of a certain chord than the others, and you can try to figure out what that might be. So in this case, right, you have D and G. Those fit in fairly well with the G major chord here. And you can hear this where the C and F don't really fit, so you can split this up and turn this into a different chord. So F, A, C might be better here. Or maybe DFA. Wait, sorry, hold on, this is C. Well, sometimes it just works out, right? The C is not in this chord, but it sounds... Actually, we already have DFA here. But anyway, you get the point, I think. Just sometimes the chords will sound good over the notes, and sometimes it doesn't, and you can just play around with whatever sounds good.
And to kind of review in terms of like the rules of the sandbox, right? Yeah, the most difficult part of the sandbox to me is deciding what goes in the actual chord. Uh, but from like a way to define the sandbox would be to um like would you recommend going for commonly established chord progressions and then trying to write around that, or go with the melody in my head and try to solve what the chords should be?
So I think the former is definitely easier to do, um, but I think it's easier to make distinctive melodies with the latter. So if you're just starting out, it
Mm,
may be easier to take a chord progression and then make a melody out of that. But if you already have a melody that is very distinctive, you might come out with a better piece by starting with that instead.
okay. And then okay, say I have a melody, um, and it doesn't necessarily play well with like the C major scale. Like, because I feel like this works what you did here because you're playing in a nice sandbox. But what if the sandbox is not so nice?
Yeah, so I'm not going to spoil the spoil the melody that you gave me. Yours actually ended up being in F sharp major, which looks like this. Not that one.
I'm writing that down.
I'm just gonna
You
go
you
find
can
it.
you can spoil it. I said to my Discord if they wanted to show up, it
Oh,
might
okay, okay.
might be actually played, so I'm okay with it being played.
Then I will go ahead and do that then. I can find the window where I put it. I just open it again. I'm gonna open the one that has my chords in it.
Yeah. Oh my god, my the recording I sent you is not is not ready to be shown to the public.
Yeah, so I've gone ahead and transcribed your song, and done my own chords over it. Originally, I'm gonna transpose this to what it was originally. This was F sharp major. F sharp major. And it looked like that. And you kind of don't want to deal
Okay.
with that. So I transposed it up by a semitone so it's in G major. So you're working with, if you look at the pianos in Discord here, right, my piano shut down. You're working with these notes. You know, the one sharp there. Fairly
Mhm.
close to C major, just one sharp difference. So let's have a listen to this without my chords. Go ahead to the mixer and turn off my chords. And I have to say, your intuition for writing this melody here, which I simplified just to make things a little bit easier, actually does display a lot of the things that we had covered in today's session.
Thank you. I kind of feel self-conscious because I mean I'm sure everybody experiences it where like, oh, this is just this other pop song that exists already. Um, but I've kind of accepted that this is well, if you play it, maybe people will figure out what this is based off of, and maybe they won't, and then that would be a good thing for me.
Yeah, I mean that's a fairly common problem where you're thinking something and then it just turns out to be already a song. I think there's a whole video series about that. But honestly, even if that happens, you just make it your own and make it different, and it's fine. There are only so many notes anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, let me go ahead and play this. I just realized the stream can't hear this. Okay, let me do that again.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds very good.
It sounds way better than what I sang, but yeah, oh, that's so cool.
This one, what is it? It's this one. Okay, stream should be able to hear this now. Right, that's a pretty good melody, right? You have the suspension here, like you've done earlier. You have same but slightly different in these ones. Like descending tones here, neighboring notes here. So you have the intuition for all this stuff, man. I think you just needed the theoretical framework to slot it in. Uh,
Yeah.
Now I can listen to this with chords that I made. Again, using the same technique where you take the perhaps the majority note of the bar and then just make a chord around that, sticking perhaps to the four chords, but not necessarily strictly to it. And because, for example, this one, I'm making this a C major, and there are no chords in C major there. And the reason I did that is because of the shape of the chords. It's all tending to go upwards. So you can also take the shape of the chords and their progression into account when you do this.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah, it's very good. I also note here that I ignored the voicing here just to make it a little bit more final. Again, you can break the rules where it makes sense. In this case, uh, I do actually want that jump there. But yeah, and now
So,
your exercise here is to try to do this on your own.
oh gosh. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it on my own time. And this stream is nice because I can use yours as a sort of cheat sheet even so like the chords that you picked, what I'm hearing is that it's not like a hard and fast rule. You just went with your training and what sounded good to you because you had mentioned that, one of the chords that you ended up picking was done out of it sounded better than maybe what it actually is. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, I felt it was maybe a little bit more interesting to listen to.
Okay, so and you did this in what? In sorry, G something or another,
G major.
G major. Okay. So G major, that's my sandbox to try to reconstruct these chords.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you ever need to know what notes are in it, you can just go. You put in the key signature for G major, There are charts you can look up to see what that is. And
Yeah.
then you can just go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and see where they line up on the piano.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
you just completely ignore the piano, just work off the staff.
That's cool. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. This actually gives me the ability to figure it out instead of just being like, I have no idea like where to even begin. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah. Glenn here says one interesting thing is that this melody is largely pentatonic, fitting into the G major pentatonic scale. I actually didn't notice that, but yeah, I can hear that. Pentatonic scales are scales that only have 5 notes instead of 7.
I wonder if it's a feature of the genre I picked. Like, could you tell like the genre of music I was trying to go for in the voice sample I sent you, Penbu?
Yeah, I did feel like it was very similar to something else, and it was probably because you were picking from that genre.
Did I tell you the genre? I
You did
shouldn't
not.
have. I did not tell you the genre.
I'm awful with
Do,
genres, so I couldn't tell you what it was, but I can
I,
hear
I'm
similar music.
I'm wondering if anybody in stream has a guess for like the genre vibe, because I know that certain genres have certain things that they like doing, and I'm wondering if anyone has like a guess hearing the transcription that Penbu provided, like what the vibe I'm trying to go for is. Because if it is conveyed in just your transcription, I think I did a good job.
Yeah, Marlon here says folk song.
Yeah, yeah, it's a folk song. I wanted to do a folk song. Oh, that's good. That's good that it came across as a folk song. That means I was able to provide Penbu with a voice sample that sounded like a folk song.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes me happy. I'm happy.
yeah, it's very good. Actually, since you mentioned genres, I will say that your choice of chords will also be affected by the genre that you're working with. Because, for example, jazz chords tend to be, uh, I wouldn't say wildly different, but they can be unexpected if you're working within classical mindset.
Hmm. So, one more question. You know, when I was trying to do this on my own without anybody's help, I was just being like, what do folk people do? Like, what chord progressions are in folk music? And I just like, I have no idea how to like use this. Because it doesn't like I'm just not advanced enough because I was like, okay, they're doing this chord followed by this chord, but it doesn't that's not like what my melody sounds like. So in exploring and in exploring in the sandbox, you would recommend staying in G major and maybe not listening too much to that, but rather rely more heavily on what I actually sing versus what other people are doing in the genre. Is that like, do you think that is a better strategy?
Yeah, I think you can take the genre as inspiration, but you aren't necessarily caged into what everyone else does. If your music says that you should go a different direction, then feel free to go in that direction.
Okay, that feels good to get permission for that kind of thing. Just because, yeah, again, like, what do folk music sound like? It just wasn't yielding anything that I could use because I don't have the level to actually make use of that information.
Yeah,
It's like giving
ultimately,
a caveman like a smartphone. Like the caveman's not gonna know how to use that.
yeah. I think ultimately the goal of making music is to find something that you're happy with, and uh, if breaking the rules and going somewhere else that other people aren't doing, even if you're trying to take inspiration from the genre, makes produces something that you're happy with, then just absolutely just go with that.
Okay, cool. So as long as I stay somewhat within the G major sandbox, I can iterate on that until things sound correct.
Yeah,
And then to go from chorus to anything that isn't a chorus, change the progression of whatever I'm doing.
yeah. Change the progression, or if you want to be a little bit more advanced, you can change the key as well. But that's a little bit more advanced.
So when you transcribed these chords, did you have like a regular like did you do it measure by measure? Like whatever that measure is, that's what this chord is, or did you have chord progression in mind?
I first transcribed the melody, and then from the melody, I went measure by measure. And then in this case, it lined up that every chord change is basically one measure. Sometimes it's going to be less, sometimes it's more. Um, Although I did make an exception here where this is 3 chords. And you can actually apply this to everywhere where this pattern shows up to. I just chose not to for demonstration purposes.
What I meant to say is your knowledge of chord progression up until that last two measure or that the second to last measure did not come into play because you were doing it measure by measure, right?
Yeah. So I think the only thing that perhaps uh, perhaps informed my chords from the theory is this one, as the last one, because most of the time you're going to go back to the first of the scale as your home, right? So you ended on a G. It makes sense to end on a G major. Um, but everything else, except perhaps for this one as well, we're basically just take what I see in the melody, and then make a chord around that.
Okay. Okay. Oh, well, I'm excited to mess with this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what you make with it.
Yeah, only if it gets funded.
Fair enough.
uh, for those of you who don't know, in January, I'm going to be doing I do a 12-hour stream every year. That's just something I decided to do last year, but a 12-hour stream for female reproductive health. So like ovarian cancer, um, what is it? The other I'm doing ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and then one more condition whose name escaping me.
Uterine?
It hurts a lot. It's like ectopic tissue. Oh God, what is the term?
Oh, that one I
A good
don't think
number
I
of women
know.
have this, and it gives them pain, and it sucks. Gosh, the name is escaping me right now. But the idea is that if I reach a certain incentive, I will try my best to release an original song in the year 2026. And I didn't want to come into it with nothing. Like I wanted to make sure that if it got funded, that I would be able to do it. And I feel pretty confident that I could do. Oh, thank you, Marlon. Endometriosis. Yes, yes, yes. Um, uh, and yeah, I wanted to make sure before I promised to do it for charity that I could do it. And I think Penbu, you've helped greatly with actually making sure that this could potentially be a thing, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, I think you absolutely have the tools and importantly the intuition to make it happen.
Okay, I'm trying to think if I have any other questions because I think you answered all of the ones that I was stuck on because I was like, I don't know where to go from the chorus. Change chord progression. How do I build a chord? Well, you kind of I'm cheating because you gave me the fact that it's at least close enough to G major, and then I can go from there. Uh, and so chords within G major. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because in a scale, there will be minor and major chords to pick from. Um, in case things don't sound right because I'm worried about the fidelity of my ears because it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, just mess around with it until it sounds right, but like also because I'm not that experienced, my ears aren't as tuned to know how to fix things, but I think that'll be okay because on the scale, there's only a finite number of chords, so I just have to try a finite number of things. I guess you could tell like my approach is like I know I don't have the skill to do it from brain, but if there are only a finite number of things that can be tried, that's all I'm asking for. Because without this background, there's just infinite things that you could do that all sound terrible.
Yeah, and I think also it's good to keep in mind that even though you're making this yourself, you do have the option of running it by somebody who has more experience. And honestly, more
Yeah.
composers should probably do that.
For sure. I 100% will be asking other people for help. It's just I want the soul of it to be entirely from me versus needing help to be like, I don't know what to put here. As long as I have the soul of the song, I think I'll be very happy with that at this stage. Because this is also like I like doing little musical ditties and I would love to put more of them in my videos. And if there are more original, because I loved making that Blender song, but I did like 20% of the work. The only thing that I did there was the melody, and it was a very short one too. And I would love eventually to do much more of it on my own, because I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's like such a like if I were younger, right? If I started earlier, et cetera, et cetera. But the second best time to start is today, and I think that's great.
Indeed.
All right, I think I do have to go now. Thank you so much, Penbu, for preparing all of this. That's awesome, and I'm really excited to potentially get this done.
Yeah, and thanks for posing this because I've been wanting to do this kind of stream for a while and I just haven't been able to do it. And going through it with someone, I think, is a much better experience than me just telling people how to do things.
And I think I don't know, yeah, I'm popping this up on on you live, but feel free to have whatever opinion. But like, I wonder if it would be fun if you could if like for the audience too, like a critique of something basic. Like I think I always enjoy that in like drawing streams where a pro artist will like correct the anatomy or even though I don't know anything about drawing, it's just nice to see that kind of before and after, the touch of the master, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
that is actually something I've been thinking about. Where, for any of you who have been following this stream and this workshop, if you'll feel free to send those in, and if we get enough of them, I can do a stream where I take a look at them, play them for you on the piano, and maybe tweak things a little bit.
I think that'd be so cool. All right, I really do have to go now. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Penbu, of course, for preparing everything. Thank you, audience, for hanging out. Yeah. Uh, I guess.
All
Bye bye.
right, thanks, Phi, and for anyone here, you can go follow Phi in those links there. When's your next stream?
This is a good question. Am I streaming next week? Hmm. Give me a second. Schedule. I am streaming. I'm streaming the molecular biology of cats next week.
Oh,
I'm streaming about how the cat has been an essential model organism for understanding how our eyes are connected to our brains. So that's what I'll be doing next week. Pretty different from music. Yeah.
all good stuff though.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Penbu. Thank you. Bye
All
bye,
right, thanks,
y'all. Bye
Phi.
bye.
Good luck. Bye. And then as for me, we'll be having our next stream in about 3 hours. We're doing piano improv. Uh, this is a follow up to this stream where you can either just sit back and relax and listen, or you can take a more active participation in this and see if you can spot the techniques that we've learned in this stream to what I do on the piano. So if you'd like to come out that's in about 3 hours. All right. I think that's about it. Once again, if you'd like to grab the worksheet, it's all pinned in there. We also have a Discord for me and other sheet music VTubers. So if you like, you can share your music there or check out some of the other ones. If you'd like to come to my Discord, you can go do that too. We have a channel for music making, and a whole ton of other stuff. I think that's it. Yeah, and if you have any, if you want to send those in for what you make for the worksheet, by all means, I would like to see them. Okay, Twitch, we're gonna find something to raid. So stick around. YouTube, if the person that I find to raid is also streaming on YouTube, we will manually go over there because we don't have enough subscribers yet to do a proper redirect. So with that, hope you learned something. Hope this was fun. And for those of you who already know how to make music, you can try this anyway. It's a good exercise in trying to work within constraints. So yeah, feel free to submit those to even if you're already experienced. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the next stream in about 3 hours. All right, bye. so hard to find people on Twitch to raid when it comes to music. Also, I'm gonna snooze this ad. Hopefully it doesn't come back by the time I find somebody. I might end up having to raid outside of music. It's unfortunate, but you do what you have to. Okay, I guess we're gonna raid outside of music. We're gonna pay a visit to Detective Figmore. He's also streaming on YouTube. Let me grab the link there. Figmore. He's playing Animal Crossing. So it might be a good cozy stream to hang around in until the piano improv stream later. So enjoy that. For those on YouTube, she's over there. I keep doing. Hold on. I keep doing shoutouts, and I don't mean to do that. I never used to make that mistake. I'm gonna set up the raid here. That's what it was. Okay. So we're gonna go over there. Say hello. This is the raid message on both chats. If you'd like to participate, you can go ahead and copy that and paste it in when we get there. We'll see you in a few hours, hopefully. And if not, then we'll have a good night. And enjoy the Animal Crossing. Okay. Night all. Bye.